Steve Kerr, NBA on TNT. You want to jump in with the officiating from last night?
Oh man, well, yeah, too many technicals for sure. But I don't want to see officials interviewed after the game. We see enough of them during the game. I just don't want to. I don't want to make them a huge part of the story, even though it's inevitable that there's going to be bad calls. It's just the nature of the sport. But I don't think they should be out front explaining everything after the fact.
Well, I would just like to know if there was something that we missed, because if you're a Celtic fan, maybe if you're a non-Heat fan, you're saying those refs hijacked that game last night.
Well, basketball is such an impossible sport to officiate, and especially when you get to the playoffs. You could call a foul on almost every play. And so it's up to the officials to try to, keep control of the game and the emotions of the game, but at the same time keep the game going. And you just can't call a foul every play, so you've got to try to maintain the kind of the emotional keel of the game, and it's a really hard job. So there's going to be games like that where it just doesn't look great. I thought Game 1 of Oklahoma City and the Spurs was fantastic. Yeah. I thought it was a really well done officiating job. So it's just one of those things. But I don't know. I just feel like you're just opening them up for even more abuse and criticism when they get plenty as it is.
What are the go-to expressions, though, using politically correct terminology here? But is there a certain thing that can be said? Doc Rivers says, "Come on, Eddie," to the official, and he gets teed up. I mean, is that worthy of getting teed up here?
No, of course not. But it's sort of the emotion of the game. Maybe it was the fourth or fifth time he had pleaded his case. I don't know. But there was a great piece on Joey Crawford in the New York Times about a month ago. I don't know if you saw it, but he admitted to giving Don Nelson a technical for staring at him one time. And Joey said it was one of his biggest regrets.
Well, didn't he want to fight Tim Duncan?
He wanted to fight Tim Duncan, yep, and so yeah, these guys.
Well, didn't Tim laugh at Joey Crawford? And then Crawford wanted to fight Tim Duncan?
Yeah. Tim laughed. I think he felt like he was mocking him, and I don't remember exactly the details. I remember Rasheed Wallace got a technical from Ronnie Garrettson for staring at him. Didn't say anything, just kept glaring at him and teed him up. And so it's these guys have a hard job, though. It's a tough position to be in, that's for sure.
He's Steve Kerr, NBA on TNT analyst, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Can the Celtics beat the Heat?
I don't think so. I think Avery Bradley was a huge factor for Boston. The way he defended, especially because of the matchup with Wade, he really took a lot of pressure off Pierce and Allen, and now they don't have that extra defender. Petrus does a pretty nice job, but you have to be able to throw bodies at those guys, and Bradley is one of the best defenders in the league. So without him, I think it puts Boston at a huge disadvantage.
I feel the same way because he provided a different type of tempo for the Celtics. And to me, if you let Miami control the tempo like they did last night, they're going to steamroll here. If I had Bradley and Rondo, and I tell Rondo, just attack, then you have a chance. But I without that and being able to control a little bit of the tempo, because your older guys aren't going to be able to do so. My guards can. They create shots for these guys on the perimeter. But until you do that, but then I was mentioning just how freakishly good LeBron is on defense. At that size, to be able to guard everybody, play the passing lanes, man on man defense, blocking shots. That's a difference maker as well.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He in the Indiana series when he just slid over to guard David West with Bosch out. That's amazing when you really think about it. I mean, David West is a power forward. He's one of the strongest guys in the league, and there's LeBron fronting him on the post and just pushing him off the block. I mean, LeBron is unbelievable defensively. He can guard literally anybody on the floor.
I was also thinking about this. We brought this up last week, I think Friday. If you had LeBron and Wade, and I gave you Pippen and Jordan, or I gave you Duncan and Robinson, if you had 2-on-2 in the history of the game, Where would you put LeBron and Wade, and who would you match up with them that you think could beat?
You mean if you were playing like a huge 2-on-2 tournament?
Yes, 2-on-2 tournament in their prime. You know, you can take Magic and Kareem. You can take Bird and McHale if you want to. But I kept going back to Jordan and Pippen.
Yeah.
Just because, and you were there to see these guys and play with them. But offensively, defensively, I don't know if you'll find two better players who were that good, you know, playing offense and defense.
No, they were the best. I mean, obviously I'm a little biased, but in terms of just, you know, two-way players, guys who can dominate at both ends, to me, Jordan and Pippen were the best. They were both a lot like LeBron defensively. You know, they could guard anybody because they were strong enough to guard big guys and fast enough to guard the little guys. And that was, I thought, the key to our team. And, you know, I've talked to Jeff Van Gundy about this before. You know, people would always talk about how great Jordan and Pippen were offensively. He said it was never the offense that they were worried about in New York. It was just trying to score on Pippen and Jordan. And then you throw in Rodman and Harper, and you got, you know, four guys who can guard multiple positions and switch anytime they want. And that was really the key to that Bulls dynasty.
But, Steve, we look at LeBron and, you know, passing up the last shot. And you played with Jordan, and some of the biggest shots in Bulls history were hit by other guys than Michael. But his philosophy, what was it when the game was on the line? Is it similar or different, how different it is to LeBron?
I think it's totally different from LeBron. I think LeBron's philosophy is more like Pippen's, you know, where he's really thinking pass first. You know, he's a distributor before he's a scorer, which is amazing because he averages like 29 a game. But that just shows his ability. But Michael always was going to have the ball in his hands at the end, and it was a different mindset. And he was going to pass, you know, only as a last option. And that was, you know, that was his approach. And he would make the pass, you know, if he got double teamed, and he did that time and again. But the first option was always to score.
Well, but I know that you hit the big shot, and Paxson hit a big shot. Wennington hit a big shot. Michael was never afraid to take the shot, was he? I mean, you never saw him go, you know what, Scotty, you take it, or you know, run a different play.
No. It was the exact opposite. He couldn't wait to take it, and that's, you know, that's something Kobe has, obviously. I mean, certain guys just desperately want that big shot and are so good that they can create it on their own and draw all the attention. And that's, you know, that's Kobe, that's Michael. I think LeBron is just, you know, he can do it, but he's not as skilled as those guys as a shooter and a scorer in the half court. And so I think in the end, there's just not quite the level of confidence in his own ability to make that last shot and to create it. Because, you know, a lot of his points come in transition or, you know, just in the course of the game and in normal situations. But everything changes at the end. And that's where those guys really rely on footwork and you know, technique. And that's probably the one area of LeBron's game that isn't, you know, at an elite level.
Yeah, and it took me a long time to, I guess, get to that point, Steve, that LeBron's just not confident in his jumper. He's a scorer, not a shooter, whereas Michael was he turned out to be a great shooter.
Yeah.
But he worked on it. LeBron really needs to add that. Dwayne Wade can shoot. He got a good jump shot. You know, LeBron just seems like, I don't want it to come down to my jumper. If I can take it to the hoop, that's one thing, and I think that's where he's a little bit reticent with you know, the game on the line and the clock winding down.
Yeah, I agree with that. He doesn't quite trust his jumper, and the post game has gotten better, but it's nothing like what Michael's was and like Kobe's is. You know, you go down on the block with Michael or Kobe, you know they're going to get a shot off. With LeBron, he's gotten better, but you don't really know what he's going to shoot. I guess he kind of wants to get into the lane for that little right-handed jump hook, but it's not like he's got a go-to move down there, and so I think that's what keeps him, you know, from taking that last shot. It's just the deep level of confidence in, you know, a particular move or his jump shot. It's just that's the only thing lacking right now. Before
I let you go, what do you expect tonight, Game 2, Spurs Thunder?
Well, I think this is the ideal situation for the Spurs. They won Game 1, but they didn't play well. That's always the best case scenario. That means you keep your edge. You're still scared. I think these teams are scared to death of each other. There's so much respect for the talent level of both sides that I think we're going to see another great game. But I do think that was the ideal outcome for the Spurs. I think they're going to come out tonight and play a lot better, but still have that edge.
Good to visit with you as always, Steve. Thanks for your time, buddy.
All right, Dan, thanks.
All right, Steve Kerr.